The modern world runs on a relentless pace of consumption, sustained by a massive, invisible conveyor belt of maritime trade. Every day, thousands of steel leviathans quietly cross our oceans, carrying the raw materials that keep cities powered and markets stable. We rarely notice this massive system until it stops. The geography of that system is highly concentrated. In the Middle East, a single point of failure emerges: the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage serves as the primary artery for global energy, processing roughly 20 to 25% of all seaborne oil and liquefied natural gas on Earth. But its immense volume is bottlenecked by its physical geography. At its narrowest, the shipping lanes of the strait span a width of just 21 miles. It is a sliver of water tasked with bearing a quarter of the world's energy supply. The math is unforgiving. Whoever exerts military control over that specific, narrow stretch of water holds the baseline stability of the global economy hostage. In late February 2026, that mathematical vulnerability became a reality. Following a series of escalations, military strikes by the United States and Israel targeted Iranian infrastructure and military sites. Iran responded by weaponizing its geography. They restricted access and effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz to commercial transit, choking off the passage around Karg Island and out into the Gulf of Oman. The United States answered by imposing a rigid counter-blockade on all Iranian ports by mid-April. The resulting maritime paralysis sealed the Persian Gulf shut. What began as a regional military exchange instantly severed the world's primary energy lifeline, turning a localized skirmish into a ticking clock for a global economic emergency. The shipping industry experienced an immediate mechanical failure. Across the entire month of April, only a single Japanese commercial tanker managed to navigate the combat zone, leaving thousands of seafarers stranded on idling vessels. This freeze triggered a violent reaction in energy markets. With supply abruptly cut off, global oil and gas prices skyrocketed to yearly highs in multiple markets. The pressure began fracturing established energy alliances. Amid the systemic turmoil and shifting climate pressures, the United Arab Emirates took the drastic step of announcing its exit from OPEC. A naval blockade thousands of miles away translated into an immediate tax on every global citizen, visible through sudden inflation and urgent warnings of a global food emergency. Managing this crisis exacted an immense and immediate financial toll. The Pentagon rapidly accumulated over $25 billion in operational costs, deploying additional troops and the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier group to the region. As the military mobilized, diplomats scrambled for an exit ramp. Multiple rounds of high-stakes negotiations were launched in Islamabad, with Pakistan attempting to mediate a ceasefire. But the talks stalled over Iranian nuclear demands and access to the strait. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian signaled openness to talks, but the Trump administration rejected offers to reopen the waterway in exchange for lifting the counter-blockade. The competing demands proved too interconnected. By linking maritime freedom directly to nuclear policy, the traditional mechanisms of de-escalation broke down. When the United States directs its full military and diplomatic bandwidth toward a single choke point, a strategic vacuum opens. Other world leaders recognized the distraction and maneuvered to advance their own agendas. In Washington, King Charles III conducted a historic state visit, the first by a British monarch in nearly 2 decades. The visit aimed to shore up NATO and the special relationship while the West's attention was split. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin moved to exploit the crisis. In a 90-minute call with the U.S. in late April, Putin offered a conditional ceasefire in Ukraine, specifically timing the proposal to leverage Russia's upcoming Victory Day on May 9th. This political posturing occurred even as Ukraine continued to inflict heavy costs on Russian infrastructure, launching deep drone and missile strikes up to 1,400 kilometers past the border. The 21-mile blockade in the Middle East had effectively altered the strategic trajectory of a continental war on the other side of the globe. By the end of April 2026, the international system was fraying. The global shipping network was fractured, energy markets were vibrating with volatility, and military alliances were stretched across multiple continents. This external pressure coincided with internal vulnerabilities. The United States faced rapid cabinet turnover and new federal indictments, while severe, multi-day storms and devastating tornadoes tore through Texas. Localized conflicts no longer exist in a vacuum. A single maritime choke point now dictates the economic and political trajectory of the entire planet. Yet, observing this month reveals a profound duality. Even as geopolitical tensions threatened the global supply chain, our capacity for technological leaps continued. Alphabet committed a $40 billion investment in the AI firm Anthropic. Even with the energy markets that power these systems in turmoil, the capital and the drive toward an AI-dominated future remained in motion. And in early April, NASA achieved a historic milestone with the launch of Artemis II. This mission sent the first woman and Black astronaut to orbit the Moon, the first crewed mission to the lunar vicinity in over 50 years. Humanity is currently demonstrating its capacity to choke its own survival over terrestrial resources, while simultaneously engineering the tools to transcend the planet entirely.